Hello, I'm Denise Sullivan, Nutrition and Health Education Specialist with the University of Missouri Extension based in Jackson County. In today's Quarantine Cooking Connection demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a tasty and healthy blueberry muffin made from whole wheat flour. This recipe comes to us from our extension partners at Oregon State University, and the recipe can be found on their Food Hero website at foodhero.org. Now, this recipe uses whole wheat flour instead of all-purpose white flour, which is a great source of fiber. And personally, I like to use white whole wheat flour as opposed to a traditional whole wheat flour that's made from red wheat. The white wheat is a softer grain, and so it produces a softer flour, which tends to produce a more tender baked product in the end. And because it is still a whole grain, this is a great way for us to get half of our daily grain choices as whole grains, like as recommended in my plate. So if you're not familiar or aren't particularly fond of whole wheat products, you might try white whole wheat and see if that's something that you would like, or you could always do a half and half combination of whole wheat flour and all-purpose white flour. So before we start doing any cooking, and today or anytime, we always want to make sure that we wash our hands for 20 seconds with soap and warm water, and also wash our work surfaces and all of our utensils, make sure that they're cleaned and sanitized. And I've already done that before I got started today. And I've already got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. That's the temperature we're going to need to bake our muffins at. So for our muffins today, we need 1 1/2 cups of whole wheat flour. And as I mentioned, I'm using white whole wheat flour. 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. And because I'm going to do a little special topping, I've taken 2 tablespoons out of here for a topping for our muffin. So this is actually 1/2 cup minus 2 tablespoons that I've got the rest over here. And then we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Then for our moist ingredients, we need 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. Canola oil is a good neutral tasting oil. We need 1/3 cup of low-fat milk, 1 egg, and 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce. And I like to keep these little individual pack cups of applesauce around. They make a great lunchbox addition or a quick and eat a healthy snack, but it's also just the right amount that I need for our recipe today. And it's 1/2 cup. And then if you want to add some flavoring to your muffins, I like lemon with my blueberry muffins. So I've got lemon extract here. You could also use vanilla extract for just a little boost in the flavor. And then we also need our blueberries, of course. I've got 2 cups of frozen blueberries. You could use fresh, you can use frozen. I keep frozen blueberries in my freezer quite often because I like to use them in smoothies. For your equipment that you're going to need 2 mixing bowls because we're going to need 1 for our dry ingredients, 1 for our wet ingredients, and then something to stir both of those with. I've got my rubber spatulas here. We'll need your measuring cups. Since I've got everything pre-measured, I'm going to set my measuring cups aside, my dry measuring cup, my liquid measuring cup, and of course, my measuring spoons. I'm going to go ahead and set those aside. Okay, so to do our recipe for our muffins today, we basically are going to combine our dry ingredients, going to combine our wet ingredients, and then we will combine those together. So we'll start with our dry ingredients, and we'll put our flour in, 1 1/2 cups of flour. And as I said, you can use all whole wheat, a mixture of whole wheat and white, or even white flour, but you're not going to get the fiber there. Then we put in our sugar, 1/2 cup minus the 2 tablespoons, and our baking powder and salt. And so we're just going to blend those together just so that particularly the baking soda gets dispersed in there, and any lumps of sugar get kind of smashed up, because I did see a little bit of lumping in my sugar. So we just get those dry ingredients combined there. And so that's ready to go, our dry ingredients together. For our wet ingredients then, we will into this measuring bowl, and I like to use my big pitcher for a lot of things. So 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1/3 cup of low-fat milk, 1/2 cup of our applesauce. That's perfect amount. Our egg. I always like to crack my egg into a separate container just to make sure if I get any shell in there that it's not something I have to be fishing out of my whole big vessel. I've just got my eggshell. If I had any, it's going to go right in there. No eggshells today. And then my 1 teaspoon of lemon extract. Now this is lemon extract, not lemon juice. It's a higher potency flavor. If we use lemon juice, we wouldn't get as much flavor, and it might alter our chemical reactions going to be going on within our muffins. Okay. So there's wet ingredients mixed together, dry ingredients mixed together. So now the next step is to combine them together, pouring the wet into the dry, and getting every bit of that out. And then we want to just gently mix that together. With muffins, you don't want to overmix them because that's what makes muffins kind of tough. So you just want to mix until the dry ingredients fully kind of absorb the liquid ingredients. A big bowl is handy here because that way any dry ingredients that get trapped on the bottom, it's a good way to keep them all mixed together. Okay, that's all mixed together. So now the last thing we do, add our 2 cups of blueberries. And these, I'm just putting them in frozen. That's not a problem. If you let them thaw, we might get too much juices coming off. And we just want to gently fold those in. The mixture starts to turn a little bit purple from our berries. And that's just a sign that that's some of those really good nutrients that we can find in our berries, those things that cause that color. And there's our muffin mixture ready to go. So now, let me get some of these things away so that we can put our muffins into our muffin pan. So I have my muffin pan ready to go. I've pre-sprayed it with cooking spray. You can use a cooking spray or a pastry brush with oil, but you definitely want this to be a oiled muffin tin because you're going to need that for the muffin to come out. Now we're just going to divide our mixture between the 12 muffin tins. I like to use an ice cream scoop because that's something that kind of helps me keep things portioned and get things just about the same amount into each muffin pan. You can use just a spoon and a rubber scraper. You could use a measuring cup, but this is kind of thick for a measuring cup. So that's why I really like my scooper, because it just kind of pushes everything out when it gets everything into the pan pretty nice and neat and clean. And this should make 12 muffins if you get things kind of divided evenly. Sometimes I might come up a little bit short, but I think we're looking pretty good today. And you can see that my purple batter is very evident with our blueberries. And I'm going to come back and give a few more, a little bit more to some of those early first scoopers. And we want, like we said, we want our muffin pans to be about 3/4 full. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, sometimes, you know, we see these toppings on bakery muffins where they might add some nuts or just a sprinkle of something. That 2 tablespoons of sugar that I left out of our 1/2 cup measure, I've got that right here. And I'm going to add a little bit of lemon zest. And that's just the outside yellow part of the lemon. So I scrubbed up my lemon and I have this little zester. You can use the side of a box grater and you just want to barely rub off that yellow part of that lemon. That's where the oils and a lot of the flavor is at. So I'm going to scrape that off. I've got a little bit more that I've already measured, zested out. So I've got about a teaspoon of lemon zest that I'm going to mix in with my 2 tablespoons of sugar. This recipe is really good. You can use different fruits. I've made it with chopped apples and where I'll add cinnamon and maybe some nuts to my topping. I've done dried cranberries. Might like a little bit of orange flavor with that, so I might use orange extract and some orange zest. I've even done it with dried cherries and frozen cherries, and I used almond extract. That's kind of a nice flavor combination. So really you could use about any kind of fruit that you wanted to in these muffins. Okay, so we just get that lemon zest and the sugar mixed together, and now I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top of my muffins. And that's going to bake in just a little bit, but it's also going to be just that first bite of sweetness and a little bit of tartness from the lemon. We got a little generous with that first one. Come back and take a little bit from you to go on this one. That's how you just kind of keep it all somewhat even. So we get just that little bit of sprinkle topping on top of the muffins. Now these are ready to go into a 400-degree oven. They're going to bake for about 20 minutes until a toothpick that you poke into the center of a couple muffins comes out dry, but maybe with a little bit of moist crumb. You don't want it coming out, that toothpick coming out coated with batter, because that means they're not quite done. But you don't want to over bake them because it is a whole grain product and that might dry out just a little bit more. This is what our baked product will look like. So they're really pretty tasty looking. And if you like blueberry muffins, I really hope that you'll give this a try, or maybe find a way to personalize it with your favorite kind of fruit. These muffins are a great grab-and-go breakfast, healthy snack, lunchbox edition, maybe even a sweet treat for dessert. But any way you look at it, it's a tasty way for us to get some whole grains into our diet and help us achieve that My Plate goal of making half of our grains whole grain choices. I hope you'll give the recipe a try. And there's more great kid-approved recipes at the Food Hero website. And we've got some other great family fun activities on our 4-H Quarantine website with MU Extension. Thanks for watching.